So today we're going to be talking about how I moved out at the age of 18. Yes, I did move out at the age of 18, and no, I did not sell my panties online, and no, I did not become a prostitute. Sorry, night entrepreneur. I didn't do anything illegal to get the bills paid. But yeah, I'm going to tell you, I am almost perfect. So whenever I bring some discussion at home or I tell my mom I want to do something, she just agrees with me. I'm not among the girls that look for trouble. Yes, I am almost perfect. And so at the age of 18, I'm laughing, and you guys gonna figure out why I'm laughing later on in the video. But yeah, at the age of 18, I told my mom I was moving to another country. Yes, I came with the strategy that I was going to school. Yes, I was supposed to be going to school. And at the age of 18, I bought my first plane ticket. I flew from Warri to Lagos. And it was my first time on an aircraft. And it was so funny because it was the first time I was on the airport. I was 18, and that was like 2011. I'm 27 now, in case you wonder. That was 2011, so I got to the airport. I had no idea what to do and how to go about it. I just literally, when they announced, from Warri to Lagos, and I just literally followed the next person that was following, and I did everything that everybody did. And apparently, in the aircraft, there's a woman sitting beside me, a lady, whose daughter just had a baby, and she was going for a mugo in Lagos. And apparently, this woman started telling me crazy stories about plane crash and everything. I was so scared and all. That's for another day. So yes, I was moving to another country at the age of 18 with the idea that I was going to start college. Yes, I was supposed to go to college. And so I flew from Warri to Lagos, and Lagos to the country I was going to. And in my head, I felt like, I was going to the country, and it was a little city. And so I flew to the city. It was in the evening, like probably 9 p.m. or so, because the flight, it was Ghana. The flight was about 45 and 50 minutes from Lagos. And mind you, I've left Warri early in the morning because I took a flight from Warri to Lagos, and I had to wait for my next flight. And so I got there. I got to Accra at about probably 9 or so. 9 or thereabout, or 8:30, I'm not sure, but it was late at night. And then I thought like the city I was going to was like an hour from Accra. Man, I was in for a big jerk. Like, it was in the night, and so they have to take me to, I will tell you, yes, I actually moved out of the house at 18 to move in with a man. Yes. I literally got married at 18. I wasn't married legally, but where I come from, they call on paper bag marriage. Once you move in with a man and you're staying, it's called paper bag marriage. No bride price paid, but you are married. Yeah, so I was moving in with my then boyfriend, yes, in another country. And so his friend was at the airport waiting for me, so it took me to a bus station, and then the bus didn't start moving till like 10 or so. And then they were driving. It was in the night, and so they were driving and driving. I was going to a mountains, like it was a mountain. Like what I was told was different from what I saw. And then we were on the road for over 4 hours. I know I got to, for those of you who are Ghanaians or have been to Ghana or knows anything about Ghana, the place is called the Eastern Region, Ukwahu Abetifi to be precise. It's a village. And so it took me almost 5 hours to get it. So I got there like about 2:30 to 3. And that's how my journey started. That's why I started staying with a man. Yes, so don't tell nobody though. I started staying with a man. But he was married. I was 18. And so it was kind of different. I mean, because usually where I grew up from, where I grew up from, we're forced to grow up really fast. I think depending on your household, at the age of 14 or 15, you start fending for yourself most of the time. So it was not that difficult to adopt. But one thing about me is, say, if I want something, no matter what I have to face on the road, I do not care. I'm always thinking about the end result. Okay, what is this thing going to lead me? So even if I'm not comfortable where I am, as long as it's going to lead me to my happy space, as long as it's going to lead me to success. So my mama could say, if it means say lead the person actually can, if it means say wash his shit, wash am. It no matter, as long as you know what you want. Always remember, in English form, always remember where you come from. Always remember your humble beginnings. And so Belle, moving with a 23 years old man. Yes, I was literally married at the age of 18. So yeah, I'm moving on. Yeah, so we stayed together for over 3 months and 2 weeks. And within that time, those 3 months and 2 weeks, God ever knows. Sometimes I'm scared of myself. Like, I always plan for the future, because if I'm doing something, I always think about what if this doesn't work. So I always have plans. My friend would be like, if in case I want to wear this dress out, I always have like another shirt, like 2 or 3 to as backup, just in case this outfit doesn't go well. You get? So those times I was staying with my then husband. Yes, husband. I literally made a friend in the plane. So I was moving. I was traveling. I've traveled like twice to Accra. You get to made a steady friendship, laid a steady friendship just in case in the future. And I had applied for school in Accra. It was affordable, somewhere between, at that time, the Nigerian exchange rate wasn't that crazy. You get, currency wasn't mad. At that time, it was about 90,000, 96,000 naira a semester at that time when I registered. So that's what I did. And I used to come to Accra. I was literally married, and the relationship was great. I think people kept saying, especially my family, they keep counting what the guy has done for me, not what I did in the relationship. And I'm not one to literally explain my private life. If you like, assume that this is how it is. I do not care. I will not even defend myself. I will not explain myself to you. I will just let you think whatever you want to think. And so 18 years old housewife was staying with a boyfriend. There was quarrel. And you know that kind of thing, that you're staying with somebody that you don't have backup plan. So even if you're fighting, there's no way you can get angry and leave the house, because you have nowhere to go. It was towards the end. I mean, in my mind, I've told myself that this relationship was over. But because I have to literally be careful so I could get a plane to get back home, so I was just calming down, and it was so difficult. I got to a place where a local girl was calling me on the phone and abusing me. Oh, this is the young woman. And apparently, you were calling me, talking about my supposed man, yeah. Yes. Let's just say my supposed husband, and you're calling me, wanting me on the phone. I mean, just so you know, when I mean a local girl, I don't mean that in an insult. It means someone from the town, an indigenous from the town. They are called local. So a local girl was calling me, trying me. To be honest, then it was after, she called me after, like, when I figured out my cousin was in the same town with me, because she was schooling there. And so I'd gone to visit her at a hostel. And for those of you thinking, why didn't you meet me with her? Plus, she has a roommate, the room is tiny, and how would I get back home? She doesn't have money to buy me a ticket. And so I was with her, and then this girl called me, and she was local because the accent and everything. And she was telling me, oh, blah, 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 I'm sleeping with your man, do. But the funniest thing, I was kind of surprised, because it was like the first time someone was calling me about a man. And I was 18, remember? And so I was telling my cousin was like, serious? Like, she was there when they got, but when I got home to our house, the house where me and my husband stayed, when I got there, I didn't confront him, because in my head, the relationship was over, but I wanted a plane to get back home. Like, I wanted a plane to get back home. To cut the long story short, the semester was over, and we had to go. It was Christmas, so I had to go back home. He bought my ticket. I flew to Lagos. My elder sister was in Lagos at that time, so she came to the airport to pick me, and then we went back home together. And in my mind, the relationship was over. I didn't tell you that he wanted us to get married, like cut wedding. His brother would be there, and my sister would be there. He wanted us to get married. For Christ's sake, we get married and what? Be staying in your father's house, or we can't be in Ukwao, or those times. So yeah, one of us get married. I was like, we're too young. I was 18 to 23. I'm not gonna do that. So yeah, long story short, I got back home. And like I said, I told you when I was back there, I was going to Accra. So I'd already processed my admission for Northern University. And so I went back home. I was there for Christmas, and I told him that it was after Christmas, like first week of January. I told him that the relationship was over. I didn't want it no more. I was tired. I was literally tired. You know, sometimes you don't know people until you stay with them. And yeah, maybe people would say I used him, but I didn't. I mean, he was eating fresh food 3 times a day, so he benefited too. And yeah, I broke up. I ended the relationship, and it was like that. And then February has come. School was supposed to be that I'm supposed to move back to Accra, and this time I wasn't going to the mountains. I was supposed to move back to Accra. Let's say I didn't have so much money, but yeah, I went back to Accra, figured out a way to get it together going back. I mean, some of the other story, I had so much jobs. Like I said earlier, I didn't sell my pants online to pay the bills. So I didn't sell half of my breasts. I was just hustling. At the time, I'll give you this just for another day. It was crazy because I spent 6 years in that country, 5 years in college. I know I wasn't an engineer, so I was supposed to be a 4 years course. But that'll be a story for another day. But this is how I moved out of the house. So Charlie, that's how I moved, come up from my mama house. Come move, go to that country, come go stay with a man. So now it's so difficult for me to even condone some of the things. I mean, the moral lesson of the whole story was, it was that moment to realize that, damn, I'm gonna make my own money. Because I was taking those shit because I didn't have a backup plan. I was taking those kind of animalistic behavior because, I mean, he's a good guy, he's a great guy, he was good to me. But there are some things like people can never, I mean, it wasn't good enough for me, but he was a good guy. But what I learned from that whole situation was, I shouldn't put my bread on someone. I shouldn't let people feed me. So it is, and sometimes when people ask me, how come you always have a plan? How come you always not panicking when there's some situation I'm supposed to be panicking? I'm like, and I keep saying, I always plan for this. Like, if I'm going to do this, I'm like, what if this doesn't happen? What's my backup plan? What if this happen? What am I backup? So I always have a plan A, plan B, plan C. And sometimes when my best friend is saying that wants to do something, I've already made other plans for her. And then she calls me, so Belle, what am I supposed to do? I'm like, do this and do this, because I've already planned it. I've already think about the worst situation that will happen. And sometimes people say I'm negative. I don't think I'm negative. I'm just preparing myself for when things doesn't go my way, so I don't get caught up and all that. So yeah, the moral lesson of the story is that always have a plan. Always have a plan B. Do not be in a relationship where someone has to control you or you have to stay back because you know that that's where you get your whole and all. Since that day, I've hustled. I've had multiple jobs, done kind of job that if you see some kind of job where I don't do it, you will not go believe that I do it, but it's an honest living, and I really did. I'm really, really proud of myself. But yeah, that is the story of how I moved out at the age of 18 to go and stay with a man. Yes, guys. Have a lovely day.